What up, y'all? This is Mongo. So Matt Hardy has had his last stand in the WWE, and this feels particularly definitive because Matt is up there in age, and I really feel like this was the last run for Matt Hardy, and that we'll never see him again outside of the Hall of Fame. And I think that, well, let's talk about the situation. He did this really passionate promo in his final night against Randy Orton. And he told basically the story of him and Edge, and how their relationship was strained, but there was a lot of respect. After the strain of the relationship with Lita, they got over it, and they were still friends. They became friends again, and Edge shared with him this this really touching stuff that really wanted to come back because he didn't want to leave his career with what ifs. He didn't want to wonder if he could ever have come back, and he wanted to experience that comeback and to see if he could do it. And Matt Hardy came across as a legitimate friend. It was so passionate and it felt so real. And obviously, and him and Randy get into this fight, this real short fight where he gets hit with an RKO, hit with a concerto, and essentially that's it. On Twitter, he says goodbye. And this has been brewing for a long time, of course. The Matt Hardy and WWE stuff. The thing about Matt Hardy is we watched this guy grow up on TV. He grew up in front of our very eyes, him and Jeff. And Matt Hardy has always been the black sheep. He's always been the guy who, no matter how good he was, and he was always so good, you really, if you haven't taken time to really look at the body of work Matt Hardy has put together as a solo act, the creativity he's been able to do, not just in WWE, but also in TNA and in other places, and especially on like YouTube and stuff, where he was doing like the Big Money Matt stuff, and then the Broken Universe stuff. He, no matter how good he was, the WWE was never going to make Matt Hardy the guy. He was always going to be behind Jeff. They had zero interest in pushing him, ever. He was one of the hottest acts on the planet when he came back, and I want to say 2005, when he came back from Ring of Honor, his stint in Ring of Honor. He was really hot, and that whole storyline he did with Edge when he came back, the feud was over immediately. I mean, people really, really wanted that, and it was really hot. And in the first match, he lost by referee stoppage. So if you were going to do a referee stoppage, why didn't you do it the other way? Why didn't you have Matt beat the shit out of Edge so badly that the referee stops the match, and then Edge kind of gets away without getting pinned? But in the other, they did it the opposite way, where Edge won, Matt lost, and that just became the story of the storyline. Was Edge was just so much better than him. Edge was always the better man, and it was almost like we were going to go out of our way to prove Edge right in this storyline, that you're less of a man than Edge is. And it seems really incredibly unfair, especially, and I understood it because Edge was sort of the guy. He was coming into his own at the time. I don't think he was quite there yet. But the Matt Hardy storyline put him over the top, and I think that's when he was really ready for the main event. But Matt Hardy didn't get anything out of that. He didn't benefit from that shit at all. He no matter how good that thing was, he was not going to get any credit for it. He got sent to SmackDown after the Loser Leaves Raw match and just became a jobber. And that was so disappointing. And that's been the story of the Matt Hardy as a solo act in WWE. Is no matter how good he is, they're not going to do anything with him. They were never going to do anything with him. They're not interested in pushing him. And it's just, I'm glad that he's going to go somewhere else. I'm going to give some quick thoughts on the Broken Universe. I was always sort of a fan of Matt Hardy. I talked a lot about the 2005 when he returned, because I think that's when he was at his best. Physically, he was at his best, and I think that he had the most sympathy that any babyface could possibly have. And it would have been such a fantastic story for Matt Hardy to pin Edge for the World Heavyweight title at some point, or the WWE Championship or something, just so you can do the Matt Lita Edge big main event angle. Like, you could see it but they gave it to Jeff. Like when Jeff came back, it became Jeff and Edge, and that just kind of became, well, even though it didn't happen to Jeff, we have to tangentially place Jeff in this situation because Matt wasn't around at the time. So they gave the big moment of pinning Edge for the title. They gave it to Jeff. so that tells you what the WWE thinks about Matt Hardy. It's just kind of like the big moment that most everybody can think would have been huge for the Matt Hardy, for his career and his character, and to give everybody some catharsis for this storyline between Matt, Lita, and Edge is for Matt Hardy to beat Edge for the title. He never even got close. He didn't even get to wrestle Edge for the title, as far as I know. But the Broken Universe. Let's go back even further, because I know I keep stopping, but let's go back even further. I was a fan of Matt Hardy V1, that storyline when he was pretending to be a cruiserweight and all that stuff. I mean, that was a really fun time with the Mattitude and the Mattitude followers and all that. I mean, with Shannon Moore. I mean, it was brilliant stuff. I really liked that stuff. It was really fun, and that's always been the story of Matt Hardy, is that he's always brought fun stuff to his characters and to his business, into the business. And it's a shame that they don't want to give him any love as a solo act. Now I'm going to talk about the Broken Universe, because I thought the Broken Universe was fucking stupid at first. It wasn't until I think they did until the Lake of Rejuvenation and all that. Like, once I got over the silliness, and we kind of just sat back and accepted that it was going to be silly, I started really having fun with the Broken Universe. The way he talked, how he was able to bring Jeff in, how he was feuding with Jeff at first, and then he was able to bring Jeff in, and he changed Jeff to, I think, that's when Jeff started doing the Willow character. And I really thought that it was really entertaining stuff, and it was really over the top. And I loved how it brought in every aspect of the Hardy family, and it became a universe. And on Twitter, and I think other places, I've said that the Broken Universe is where Matt Hardy is essentially Willy Wonka, and he and this whole compound is basically his chocolate factory, where nothing works the way you think it works. So it is just such a fantastic idea. Why WWE would not buy into it is beyond me. And the only option it could be is because they didn't come up with it. It was something he did in TNA. It was something he came up with on his own. They didn't want to promote him as this big superstar. They just kind of wanted to use him as a nostalgia act for a while, and that's incredibly unfair. That is a really unfair thing, is to use a guy who is still young. And I'm not going to say Matt Hardy can still go. I really was not impressed by the little physicality he was able to do against Randy Orton. Is that Matt just looked injured. He just looked like he hurt all the time. It looked like it hurt for him to walk. It looked like it hurt for him to stand. I don't think that he's in a good place physically. And I know he'll probably disagree, but it doesn't look like he's in a good place physically. And maybe that's what it was. Maybe that physically he just wasn't able to perform at the level that they want. But it shouldn't have anything to do with the character, because the character of the Woken Matt Hardy, it doesn't really have to wrestle. He could just be, this crazy funhouse host. They're kind of like what Bray Wyatt is doing. He could have just been doing it on Raw with other people. But we will definitely see Matt Hardy again around the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer for sure. I love the guy. I think he's great. So there's still the two questions of, is he going to be the leader of the Dark Order in All Elite Wrestling? No, I think it's going to be Christopher Daniels. I think that he's going to come in as a protagonist to the Dark Order. And maybe we're going to have Christopher Daniels and Matt Hardy engaging in some fallen angel versus the Broken Universe kind of epic collision. And I think that's what they really want to do. I don't think Matt Hardy is going to be the leader of the Dark Order. I don't really see how that would work because the broken universe, is it really dark? It's kind of silly. I don't really see it as being dark, but we'll see. And of course, you can't do too much without saying, what does this leave for Jeff? Is Jeff just going to come back and do the Jeff Hardy stuff and then leave, or is Jeff going to finish his career in the WWE? I don't know, and it's really hard because Jeff is injured right now, so he's probably going to have to work the time off that he had. He's had a lot of time off. He's been off like almost a year now, I think, and he's also been arrested and all that type of stuff too. So it would be great for the Hardys to get to AEW together as a tag team. I'm not one of these guys that only want people to work in WWE and nowhere else. If you're not being used the way you think you should be, and rarely do I say that people have a legitimate argument to make, but Matt Hardy does. This guy has created an incredible body of work, and they've ruined they fucked over Matt Hardy so many times that I really want him to shove it up their ass a little bit. Just go to All Elite Wrestling and kick NXT's ass. And I'm a big fan of NXT. I'm more of a fan of NXT than AEW. I'm more a fan of NXT than most other wrestling promotions. But I want Matt Hardy to go to NXT, go to AEW, and stick it to NXT for a couple of months. For like a year or two. Really go show them why they should have had you on Raw, so that you could draw ratings and do all the things that you could think of that are interesting. Go do it and have fun. Enjoy the last couple of years of your career, and I will enjoy watching them. So, it's Matt Hardy. Thank you, Brother Matthew. We will see you down the road, maybe on Wednesdays. And to all my listeners, thank you. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.